Hey Booktube, I am coming back from my trip to Bedford. I was helping Shawn with his books. He's moving out, Shawn the Stanfast, and I thought I'd make a nice reflection after this day. I could only come and help him for one day, but I tried to do the best. I don't think I know. I don't think there is anyone who has more experience in moving out of houses. I have moved out of a house into another one on average twice a year every day of my life since I was a baby, so this was definitely a familiar case for me. Although when I entered his house at first I thought, oh, there's not enough books, this is nothing, I'm gonna do this in one day. And then he took me upstairs and showed me the room where the magic happens, and yeah, there's a lot left. I think we easily got. When I arrived, he was about a third of the way. When I left, I'd say he's halfway through. That's what he said on the live video that we made in his house. This was my first live video as well. It was really nice to also meet Mark from Book Time with Elvis, and yeah, I mean. I'm happy I could help, but yeah, I was working the day before going to help him, and I'm going back to this summer school where I'm working, which is taking a lot out of me, because this is 8 to 11-year-olds, and the kids are not a problem, but obviously I'm a resident, so sometimes they wake me up at night with silly problems, so I don't really get much sleep. I'm playing with them all day, which is nice. The part that I really struggle with and that really drains me mentally is the managerial things, the bureaucratic things. I had to do a risk assessment for board games, for example. Things like that, they're definitely not made for me. Okay, I just disappeared, I'm still here. I have become a spectrum. But yeah, he did give me some new books, and as soon as the light comes back, I'll show them. I went there with the idea of not taking any books, and he told me that when I arrived, he told me that if I wanted anything, I could tell him. And at first he said no, but then I went up there, and of course I just can't spend a whole day around books and not want a book, you know. So I got King Salomon's Mines, which they were discussing whether this was better than Treasure Island or not. I haven't read Treasure Island, but I'm very familiar with the book, and I know that it's supposed to be a mega classic, so I'm very excited to read this. This came up in the live, they were talking about it, and I just couldn't participate because I hadn't read it. So there's my FOMO coming up here. I'll definitely read this. Honestly, I think this is the kind of book that I can read very fast. Explorations of like epic adventure. This kind of book I can read in a day. So I'll hope I have a day off alone by myself at some point. I mean, I don't hope that because I like having my days off with my partner. But yeah, I'm one day alone and this is gone. I cannot say much else. I don't know much about the book. Then we also had this. He gave me this. There was some discussion on the live. I'll link the live. I'll link Mark's video, Mark's channel, and Shawn the Stanfast as well.
Although will shortly be arriving at Flitting.
Okay, now you know where I am. I'll link both of the channels, although probably everyone who watches this video knows them, because where else would I get my subscribers if not from like the 5 booktubers that I like and that every single person in booktube seems to come from. But yeah, we were discussing a lot about Marx, and about someone said that he had very idyllic or naive projections of human nature. I think that that normally, and I'm not saying that this is the case, but normally that is only said by people who hasn't read Marx, because all projections of human nature that came before were either too naive or too pessimistic. from Rousseau to Voltaire, and of course Adam Smith's own projections to the past, where
between the train and the platform.
Yeah.
This station is Flitwick.
Well, we are in Flitwick now. You know that. Adam Smith's projections to the past were just that projections he did.
At Arlington, Belgrave,
Okay.
Luton Airport Parkway, Harpenden, St Albans City, West Hampstead Thameslink, London St Pancras International, Farringdon, City Thameslink, London Blackfriars, London Bridge, East Croydon, Gatwick Airport,
That's what I'm getting off.
Bridges, Walcombe, Haywards Heath, Wivelsfield, Burgess Hill, Hassocks, Preston Park, and Brighton.
Thank you for telling me where I'm going. Yeah, I have a lot of tolerance for this kind of noises. I know of some booktubers that would go crazy trying to make a video on the train. It's not my case. I definitely can deal with that, as long as you can. But yeah, I don't think that Marx had naive projections towards human nature or anything like that. The other way around, I think that actually he pretty much changed the game of how we think about societies and about individuals in those societies. And perhaps this is not the book I would recommend anyone to read. I haven't read the full thing. I will now, because I have a radical political theory module next year in university. But I have read some essays, and I always say that if you read A Strange Labor and Genetic Being, for me, you've read the most important essays that will help you get Marx. And then if you want to read more, like his theory of value is very criticized and very praised in both sides of the ideological spectrum. His conflict theory is definitely not naive or optimistic. Yeah, I mean, like, I think this is not nuanced to say, but his the value of Marx comes from his critique of capitalism, not from his own alternatives. And you live in capitalism, wherever you are, your life is shaped by capitalism. So if you don't want to know the conditions of that and what that and how does it shape your identity, then I don't know what you would want to know, because that is your world. In many ways, yeah, that is your world. Maybe history is not just shaped by economic conflict, by maybe our lives are not just shaped economically, but we definitely live in many ways. Our reality is in many ways cut through the lens of economy, capitalist economy. So yeah, I highly recommend reading Marx, at least the two I said. Those are two books that he gave me, and then this monster. Try to guess who this person is. Okay, I'm gonna show the complete works of Primo Levi. I've been meaning to read If I Am a Man. I don't know if that is there, because I mean, see, so you know, yeah, I think it's If I Am a Man. For a long time, I just loved, like, I've read some books about the Second World War and about like the concentration camps that didn't feel in any way nuanced. I feel like at this point, you know, it's been said over and over and over for so long, and this approach to his own experience seems so eloquent. And I've heard many people whose opinions I value very highly recommend it. So I read If I Am a Man, which I'm assuming is at somewhere in these 3 volumes, and then I'll try to get my way through these 3 books within the next couple of years, probably just by asking people what I should read next. And finally, I don't know if I'm able to, I mean, why wouldn't I? At the end of the day, this is a published book, so I'm assuming that he wouldn't have a problem with this, but he gave me this. Dark Passages, Moments of Transition and Dissonance. This is a collection of poems by Shawn Stanfast himself. And they asked him to, because this is a publisher that he told me that makes mainly horror. They asked him to focus on like dark poems or poems with like dark undertones, and that's what he did, and he wrote this. And I'm obviously gonna read it, and I'll probably, I'll ask him first, but I'll probably read some of this for some of the next Poetry Thursdays. Once I get through the book and I find some of my favorite poems, I'll read them. So that's really cool. I love having books from friends. So yeah, that's it. And before the woman in the mic starts speaking again, I'm gonna say bye. Have a nice day.